This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with guitarist KURDT VANDERHOOF of the American heavy metal act Metal Church. Today we're talking about the upcoming Metal Church album, Dead to Rights. It comes out on, you know what? I didn't write down the day. I think it's April 13th, right?
April 10th.
April 10th.
10th, yep.
Rat Pak Records. Rat Pak
Yep.
Records. This was an album that wasn't even supposed to happen. For all intents and purposes,
Nope.
Metal Church was done in 2024.
Again.
Probably tired of telling the story, but it was
It's all right.
the head of your label that kind of revitalized things, correct?
Well, sort of. It was more of a it revitalized things in the sense that through the record company, people found me that were interested in, if you're interested in doing this, I'd be loved to be in. Found Brian Allen. He came by the coercion of Todd LaTorre from Queensryche. Excuse me. He had been pushing him for quite a while to do a couple of demos, unbeknownst to me, or the label, but he did a couple of tunes. And he did Start the Fire and In Morning, so a David Wayne and a Mike Howe song, sent him to the label, and then they sent him to me. I didn't know who it was. So Joe at Rat Pak said, yeah, listen to this. So I'm listening to Start the Fire, and I'm like, is this like some unreleased David Wayne version that I don't know of or something? I mean, because he nailed it, just nailed it, and did a killer job on In Morning, the Mike Howe tune. And so I go, who is this? And he told me who he was. And I didn't know who he was. I'd never heard of him before. So I go, oh, cool. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, if I ever put the band together, he would certainly be a contender. This would be great. So a couple of weeks-ish, I think, after that, Rat Pak got in touch with me because they were working with the Ellefson Soto project. And he extended to me that Dave Ellefson said that, well, hey, if, KURDT decides to put Metal Church back together, I'd love to be involved. And I was like, okay, this is getting a little serious now because Dave and I have known each other forever since the beginning of time. And, we've been friends and everything. And, he obviously is, quite a cat in the industry and, an amazing player, et cetera, et cetera. So that was very intriguing. It was like, wow. And then within a few days, Jeff Plate said, well, hey, if you put this back together, I'd love to come back. And I was like, well, there you go. I have a band. I mean, Rick never left. So, he knew we shut it down. And Rick, Rick and I were getting along fine. And he was, everything was great between him and I. We had been doing some other things together on some other kind of projects. So here all of a sudden the band was back. As far as I was concerned, suddenly I had this great new lineup. And new and old, because Jeff coming back made sense. And the singer, and it was like, well, I didn't even have to try. I didn't even pursue it. I didn't even want to. It was not even on my radar. So I was like, well, I can't say no to this. And then next thing I started writing some tunes and demoing them. And as we got things rolling, Jeff had to step back because of the Sabotage reunion, which, just took off. And again, I'm really, really happy for them that they're doing that. So that was great. Good for him. But within a few more days after that, I was in touch with Ken Mary. We're both Seattle refugees. I certainly know his pedigree and his history and his, everything. And he said he was interested. So then there it goes. Okay. So there you go. There was the band. And I was like, well, I guess this is supposed to happen because it took no effort on my part. I wasn't even intending to do this anymore. So, and the rest is going to be history. So
I want to take a quick detour. What were you intending to do before this all started falling into place?
Oh, I was just doing what I usually do. I have Hall of Flame, which just finished that new record. And we got another one I'm going to be delivering very soon. And then Presto Ballet, my prog band, and just that, and then working with other artists. I just finished the new Todd Michael Hall album. So I was just doing what I do. I'll probably invent another project to try writing some other kind of music. And who knows, maybe, clean up the yard or something. But it was like, I just saw that's what I was going to do. And look for other artists for production and things like that and mixing, which is what I do as well. I do mixing and mastering and all that kind of studio stuff. So that's what I was going to do. That was it. It's like, that's enough.
When did you finally put boots to the ground and start writing for Dead to Rights?
Boy, I'm terrible with dates and times, but I'd have to say 6, 7 months ago, I think. So it was a couple years after I shut it down. So yeah, I guess. I mean, don't hold me to that for sure, but yeah, it was about that. Yeah.
Do you do the bulk of the songwriting when it comes to Metal Church, or did the other guys give some?
Well, on this particular record, I did all of it.
Okay.
But working with, but I also liked everybody that's involved to do their own thing to it. So, like Ken, when he started tracking drums, play it like you want to play it, put your stamp on it, make it your own. So, and same thing with Dave. You do it the same way. And with Brian, it was like, well, here's how the songs go. This is the lyrics, but let's put you in this, make it your own. And Rick and I have always worked great together because I'm a rhythm guitar player and he's a lead guitar player. So he's always put his stamp on it. So, at least that's why it sounds more like a band. And it's, everybody's got a vested interest in the creative process. So I insist on that with everybody. So
one of the first singles that you put out ahead of the album was FAFO, very common acronym in the vernacular today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about this one.
Well, I mean, it's just because it is a common acronym, and it's, what a metal title is, how metal did he get, so I was like, well, I could write something about that. So, I mean, it's just basically, with all the craziness going on, people, need accountability and, and it was also just sounded like fun. I don't want to make any kind of political statements with this album, but it is, it's just a cool phrase that's going around a lot and it fits right into the metal thing. So
little surprised you didn't name the album that.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It didn't have quite the same ring to it as Dead to Rights. So
another single that you released recently is Brainwash Game. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
That's more about I'm sorry?
Even though you said you don't make political statements, I feel like there's a little one here.
Well, that's not necessarily political. That's more about fake news and social media, and that's, I mean, again, I'm not picking sides or anything, but, I mean, the stuff you hear people say on social media, that's what it's about. Everybody's got trolls and people that make their whole day about insulting people anonymously, causing stuff, and it's just so stupid. I hate it. So that's what that's about.
I've come to the conclusion that Twitter or X or whatever it's called today, there's no real people on there. I think it's just
all bots,
programs meant to piss you off and get you to comment.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then the people that are really doing it will say anything or do anything or post anything to get clicks and fake friends, so okay, well, that's the world we live in. So that's my little statement about it.
I think that the actual media does similar things too. There's no way.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah.
Are you going to be releasing the album's title track as a single as well?
I don't know yet. We have the two out. We're going to be discussing it once the album's out and see how the feedback is. We may do another video and trying to figure out the set list for when we start playing live.
I haven't been able to check out any of the videos that you put out yet. Do you guys get together for this, or do you?
Oh yeah, no, we did it for real. Yeah.
Trickery.
Yeah, no, we didn't use AI. Yeah, yeah, no, we did it. We shot it up in Aberdeen, my hometown, where the band originally started, and we did one at one of the local theaters, and then we did one at the old abandoned county jail. So that was kind of fun. Yeah, that was for FAFO. Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't the first time that there's been a lineup change in Metal Church.
Right.
It's not exclusive to your bands that lineups come and go. Being a band isn't as easy as fans think, and you touched upon the whole social media aspect of it. Did you? I mean, I would think you expected some pushback announcing a new lineup.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, it was. The pushback. When I shut everything down, it was just because everything fell apart. It just was like, we got back from Australia and it was like, I'm done, guys. It got ugly, it got stupid. Label wasn't interested in the band anymore. So it's like, there's no point in doing this. I shut it down. And again, like I said, because I had no intention of starting it up again. So, but I also had no intention. I couldn't, start it up with the previous lineup. So when everybody just kind of came to me and did it, that was it. But I think a lot of it, once they hear it and see it, I think people will be like, oh, okay, well, it sounds like Metal Church. At least that's the feedback I'm getting. So that's the main thing. I mean, you can't avoid it. When you've been in a band for this long, or have had a band or a name or a logo or whatever it is, and when you're grown, and with the music business the way it is now, it's really, really difficult to keep things together and keep everybody on the same page. So, and like you said, it's not just us. It's everybody. I mean, the bands that really stay together, they really have they have a lot of staying power to do that. If they're at our level. If you get bigger, then there's a little more incentive. But at our level, we make enough money to afford to do it. And so you got to have fun. In addition to that, that's the pay. So if it's no fun, it's like, nah, it'll just make me hate this. So.
And you mentioned it briefly yourself. The reality is most of the feedback you got is overwhelmingly positive.
It is.
This is a great album. I enjoyed this album very much. Were you surprised or relieved at the response?
Well, I think most of it for me was, I mean, I knew when we were making it and listening to it back going, wow, okay, this is really, this is something. I think this might have legs. So I guess it's always a relief just to see, even though you may really like it. And because I've had the mindset that every artist or every band does the best record they could do at that particular time, which may be good or bad or up. And every career that's had, been around for a while, you have your ups and downs. So, I think I am very pleased with the response. I actually couldn't be happier with it, because again, this was something that wasn't even supposed to happen. So, so it's all bonus for me. Yeah. I get to still be in the game,
Right. And you're gonna take the show on the road, so to speak. The Dead to Rights tour in 2026 kicks off in July with Heathen and All Sinners. You're gonna be doing an East Coast North American run. This is the band's opportunity to prove itself, right?
Absolutely. We got to kind of rebuild this thing a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. And we're ready for it. Bring it on. Yeah.
Have you gone into rehearsals yet, or are you gonna go?
Not yet. Not yet. No, everybody's doing their homework, and we're trying to figure out, well, we're going to be leaning, as we have to, basically on all the classic Metal Church, also because Brian can do such a good job with it. And, and everybody wants to hear all the old stuff. And I understand that. I go see a band that's been around forever that I really like. Hey, they may have a new album out that's great, but I want to hear the old stuff. I think it's just part of the deal. So, yeah, we're going to learn, a good chunk of songs off the new album and see which ones work live, and then we can pick and choose and try to see which ones translate the best.
Did Metal Church play with Heathen in the past?
Yeah, a couple times in the Bay Area. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the last time I saw you here in Massachusetts, All Sinners opened up for you.
Oh yeah, New Bedford. Yeah.
They're a local band anyway.
Yeah. Great guys.
Yeah, I've known Roger for a while. We went to the same high school, different ages.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's a small, trashy, decadent world after all. Yes.
Do you have more dates in the works after the July run?
Yeah, July, and we do that right before, and then we fly to Europe from there.
Okay. Festival circuit?
Yeah, the festivals and a few shows with Testament and a few shows with Black Label Society and Armored Saint. Yeah.
I saw Testament a couple weeks ago. Show was unbelievable, and the place was packed. They're really killing it these days.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal. Yeah, who knew a bunch of us old guys could kill it like this?
I'm going to see Black Label tomorrow.
Oh, right on. Cool.
I was reading that you scored a film soundtrack, the Eddie Fiola story.
Yep, I did that. That was my first one. That was a lot of fun, and I'd like to do more of that, because that was really a whole different approach to music creation, because you're doing it for a whole other application. So it took me a while to get my head around it, but yeah, that is, I did that. And that was really a great experience. I think it just played at a film festival or two, and I don't remember the names offhand, but it will be released apparently pretty soon, from what I hear. So,
I think it comes out a couple days before your album.
oh well, there you go. Yeah, and you know more about it than I do. Yeah.
I don't know much about Eddie Fiola, but I guess he's a BMX competitor and Hollywood stuntman.
Well, I only know about him now because when I got hired to do the thing, because I didn't know anything about him. But in the process, I learned quite a bit about him. And yeah, for that scene, yeah, he's quite the guy for the people that are into that kind of stuff. You know, the skateboard BMX crowd. You know, he's quite a legend apparently. So it was definitely a learning experience, and it was pretty cool. You know, to know the whole story, how he started and how he broke all his bones trying to learn to fly around and stuff like that. It was like, man, better man than I. I could never done that even when I was a kid. You know, but it was pretty amazing. It was interesting.
How'd you get the opportunity to score that film?
The guy who made the film reached out to me a number of years ago about doing a documentary about Metal Church. And so, yeah, and so he came to one of our shows and we kind of connected and was talking about that. And I said, hey, you know, that's something I've always wanted to do and would love to be able to do. So, and he has made other documentary films and other films like that. So we just stayed in touch. And then this movie came up and he said, why don't you give it a shot? So I did. And we just stayed. He was a fan of Metal Church. He came to one of the shows and we just kind of became friends. So yeah, and we're talking about doing a documentary right now. So
cool.
Yeah.
Do you have to approach a film score differently than you would, say, a Metal Church album?
Oh boy, very. Because it's not about the music. The music is in the background. You know, other than every once in a while, I mean, it gets louder in certain parts, but it sucks back. So it's more about creating an atmosphere, you know. And so, yeah, it took a while to get my head around it. I would write stuff just like I normally would, and there was really no application for it. So it took me a while to get in the flow of that. And it was great. And I love that. It was a challenge and it made me be more creative and experiment with other things. So yeah, I loved that. I thought that was a real good experience and learned an awful lot about how that works. So
two of my favorite KURDT VANDERHOOF albums that weren't Metal Church albums were Vanderhoof, A Blur in Time, that came out in 2002.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you.
The first Presto Ballet album, Peace Among the Ruins, that came out in 2005.
Wow. Fantastic.
You mentioned you're working on more Presto Ballet stuff. I saw that you had an album in 2025 called Dementia. I feel like that didn't get much fanfare.
Nah, it really, it really isn't. I mean, it's kind of a niche thing, you know, and, you know, if it doesn't really have legs, you don't really expend a lot. I mean, the people in the prog community know it, you know, and that's about it. And we really have not been able to play live because there's really nowhere to play, really. So it's kind of a thing I do for a passion project, you know. But yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, I'm glad you dig it. I mean, I love making that kind of music because it's a challenge, you know, and I time travel back to the early 70s, you know, pretending I'm listening to my Kansas and Yes albums and Rush and stuff like that. So that's always very fun. But also, like I said, the Hall of Flame stuff I really, really enjoy. And yeah, just finished our new album too. So
with Presto Ballet, you started working with Scott Albright again. I believe you didn't. There was a time where he wasn't with Presto Ballet, and now he's back.
Yep.
Is he going to be on working going forward as well?
Yeah, as far as we know. Yeah, depending on what happens, you know. I mean, again, since we're not really doing that much, it's more, I think, going to be just a passion project. You know, it's like, hey, I'm in the mood and I got some time. Let's do another Presto record, you know, just because I love it. You know.
So did essentially Presto Ballet replace Vanderhoof? Because Vanderhoof was like that 70s style rock and roll, which I think you recreated with Todd Michael Hall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just finished his new album as well. So, but yeah, no, Vanderhoof morphed into Presto.
Okay.
Because as I was doing the 70s rock stuff, it just kind of led itself into the more progressive kind of retro prog stuff. So that's just morphed into that. For sure. So it was something that was just kind of happened. So yeah, with Todd's first two records, definitely the same vibe. But his new album is a little more epic now that we just finished it, and we're really happy with the way that guy was a hell of a singer, So it's really fun to work with somebody with that kind of talent. So, yeah, I'm really surrounded and very blessed to be working with some very, very talented people at the moment. So.
Am I correct that the vocalist on A Blur in Time actually worked on Todd's albums?
No, that was somebody else again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody told me the guy's still around in the business. I think.
I think he is. I think he's singing in some Vegas, 80s tribute kind of project thing. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Drew Hart is his name.
And the next Hall of Flame album, do you expect that to be released this year or next year?
That I don't know. It's done. And because I just finished that, it's done. It's going to really depend on getting in the queue at Rat Pak. So, Rat
Pak's been good to you.
Oh boy. Well, that's why, when they lost interest in Metal Church, it was like, well, I'm going to keep my relationship with them, because for someone like me, it's perfect simpatico. I like to make records and make music and write stuff, and they put it out. It doesn't really get any better than that. So, I make a record, I'll put it out, within reason, as long as it's not stupid. So, yeah, if it's decent, and, the support getting from Rat Pak with the way the business is now is invaluable.
I feel with all the projects that you've had in your lifetime, you could do a KURDT VANDERHOOF show live, maybe locally, where you do a little bit from each album or each project. It might be tough to get the right singer for that, but have you ever considered something like that?
Well, kind of, for fleeting moments, yes, but because to actually put it together, the logistics of it would be kind of a nightmare. But if I ever could, that'd be a hell of a lot of fun. Or at least maybe put a record of the best of all the stuff that I've done, which would be kind of interesting. Thought about re-releasing the first two Vanderhoof records, just because I have the actual, all the actual tapes and doing that. So that would be fun to do an actual re-release on vinyl, with an analog source too. So yeah, there's all kinds of things going on. Yeah. Or possibilities, but I'm a little busy with the Metal Church launching, and yeah, but it's great, man. To be able to still be in the business and be this busy making music is just wonderful. I'm in a good place. So
how would you like Metal Church to be remembered?
Very danceable. No, I don't know, the fact that to be remembered at all, it's great. I think I would be very honored that we would be remembered as part of the American heavy metal resurgence, but we also had our own identity, as far as we weren't thrash, we weren't dark, we weren't black metal, we weren't, any of the other subgenres, but we just kind of were new classic metal. But I just to be remembered at all. If there's places, people have where they remember where they were when they heard, whatever song, those kind of moments that I have of my favorite artists, if I could be included in somebody else's lexicon of what they remember as music, that's flattering as can be. I can relate to that. And if I'm in there for somebody, that's huge. So
there's a Heavy Metal Hall of Fame now. Are you in it? I didn't look it up.
I think Metal Church is. If I remember, there was an award ceremony that I couldn't go to, and I can't remember why, but I'm not sure if it was just the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, but I'm pretty sure it was. I think we were inducted into that. Yeah.
So we can hang our hat on that one.
There you go. I made it. Yeah.
Well, Kurt, those are all the questions I have for you. The new Metal Church album is Dead to Rights. Comes out next week, April 10th, through Rat Pak Records. Fantastic album. I wish you the best of luck with it and hope to see you on the road.
Hey, thanks very much. Well, we'll be in your area.